All right, good evening everybody and welcome back to Walks in Wall Street. Today, we are actually reporting live from Columbus Circle, 61st Street and Central Park West to be exact. Now, the view you're seeing right now is the Trump International Hotel that sits right at 1 Central Park West. Pretty iconic address if you ask me. Now, a little bit off to the right, you have 15 Central Park West, which is one of the most exclusive addresses in all of Manhattan. It's also nicknamed the Limestone Building. We're going to be walking around 57th Street, Billionaires Row tonight. It is a hot one. It is extremely hot and humid in the city, and it's going to be like this pretty much throughout the rest of the week, going into Monday, and hopefully we get a little bit of a break in this heat wave, but it has been extremely hot and extremely humid. One of the things we're going to talk about today is interest rates. We continue to see this trend of rates rising, and I think that's going to put pressure on a lot of things, particularly housing, which is good in a way, because as we've been talking about the CPI, which is the inflation gauge, essentially the consumer price index, the number one category that we've not seen much progress in has really been shelter costs, right? So shelter costs have remained elevated when everything else has pretty much collapsed and come down, particularly commodities prices. Speaking of that, let's check out crude oil for a moment. Crude oil futures, ticker symbol CL, we're trading at about $86.50 57 cents a barrel. We are back above the 200-day and the 50-day moving average. But let's sort of regroup and go back to rates for a moment. The 30-year fixed-rate mortgage hit historic levels today. So according to Bankrate.com, the average 30-year fixed-rate mortgage in the United States is 7.62%. That's up about 10 basis points from last week. So week over week, 10 basis point increase in the average 30-year fixed-rate mortgage. Now, what does this mean? Since that's the average, that means some people who have maybe less optimal credit quality, less optimal credit worthiness are probably getting quoted almost 8%, maybe in some circumstances, maybe even 8.5% money now. That's going to change things up. We've been talking about this for a while. Can anybody predict the exact moment where prices will decline and actually make a material change? I don't think so. But if we use history as our guide, it's going to happen, which I think is a good thing, right? I think American consumers, to say the least, need a little bit of relief. We do have some additional news coming out of the New York City rental market. Let me pull that up here in just a moment, just to sort of make a point here. Now, last month, New York City rents, particularly in Manhattan, hit new all-time record highs. In August, they actually came down just a teeny bit. So if you look at the average rent on the island of Manhattan for the month of July, it was $5,807, which is pretty crazy. Now, the median rent was a little bit less at $4,500. If we fast forward to August, we now have the most updated data, and rents actually came down a little bit. So the average rent for August was $5,761, and the median rent was $4,400. So we're seeing some progress, not much, right? Those are pretty crazy numbers depending on where you're tuning in from. If you have average rents nearing $6,000, but not only rents, we've seen sales transactions pretty much grind to a halt. So if you want to see transaction activity pick up, if sellers want to get deals done, I think they're going to need to be a little bit more realistic with pricing, and I think that's coming. And that's good news. We'll take a look at the yield curve for a moment if you want to follow along. If you go to cnbc.com/bonds. Once again, that is cnbc.com/bonds. I'll actually post that in the chat, in the live chat here. So if you look in the chat, you see my name highlighted, Walks Wall Street. Just go ahead and click the link, and it'll take you exactly to what we're looking at now. Take a look at the one-year U.S. Treasury, 5.433%. We had a little bit of a bump in the yield in the 1 year, but let's take a look at the main spread. That would be between the 10 and the 2s, the 10 the 2-year spread. So a 2-year Treasury is yielding 4.93%, and the 10-year is yielding 4.23%. You'll notice a pretty egregious inversion there, right? Very aggressive inversion. But money, I should say, is getting pretty competitive. I mean, just think about it. If you have $1 million, you could quite literally get 5.5% risk-free rate of return. There's no volatility risk. You don't have to worry about, dealing with tenants. You don't have to worry about volatility of the stock market or the equity market. You essentially just go to Treasury Direct, which is the U.S. Treasury's website, and the government will pay you 5.5% for your money, which we haven't seen in a really long time. I think that trajectory will continue, and so we'll talk about it. So yet again, just a quick wrap up here. The 30-year fixed-rate mortgage reaching historic highs, decade record highs, 7.62%. Kind of crazy. All right, I will go ahead and close up the laptop. I will say hello to everybody in the chat, and we will get started. So allow me just one moment. All right, guys, so we're actually going to have some pretty good views of Billionaires Row tonight. We are reporting live right here on Central Park. We are overlooking 1 Central Park West, which is the Trump International Hotel and Tower. If we pan a little bit to the right, this is 15 Central Park West, one of the most exclusive addresses in all of New York City. This building was actually finished its development in 2008. It had a record sale right in the midst of the great financial crisis. A major Russian oligarch actually purchased one of the units, multi-million-dollar sale. If you point the camera a little bit further towards the south, look at this. We see all of Billionaires Row. Right here in the corner is the very top of 432 Park Avenue. This very unique looking building is the Steinway Tower, which is actually one of the skinniest apartment buildings in the entire world. Right here is 157, which is the first building ever built on New York City's Billionaires Row, which was developed by Extel. I'll give you a quick shot of Central Park. Very peaceful, very beautiful night, and it's cooled down substantially. I mean, today was a scorcher. Greenery. The street level was 100 degrees, if you can believe that. Really wild in the city. The building with the gold top is 220 Central Park South, which was developed by Vornado, which is Steve Ross' company. And behind it is Central Park Tower, which is another Extel development. So let's continue on our walk and let's say hello to everybody in the chat. Give me one moment here. Hey, Talk with Tiffany's here. Brian, welcome. Daniel, I see Tom, Barry, Jafet Perez, Sunshine After Rain. What's up? Battery Grams, always a pleasure to see you. Welcome, everybody. RBC, I see Ryan Beck from the great state of Texas. Cynthia Avis here, Western Mass Dave. What's up? Western Mass Dave says, Tom, you sound tired tonight. I'm a little bit tired, I was out all day today. Pretty much since 8 o'clock in the morning, running around the city, and it was really hot, extremely hot. But we're back at it. We're feeling good. Connie, what's up? Says, do we walk when it rains? We do, but the funny thing is, it hasn't. When was the last time it rained in the city? I don't even remember that. I don't remember the last time it rained in New York. It's been pretty much picture perfect weather every single day for like 2 weeks, which has been great. I love this weather. All right, one quick shot. I want to just explain something because we have a lot of new people here, which I'm very happy about. So this building, as I've said before, the Trump International Hotel and Tower, you have 3 distinct doors here, 1, 2, 3. We'll go ahead and quickly explain what each one has its purpose for. So the one all the way on the right, this is actually the door for the residences. You have the ability to purchase your own condominium in this building and to rent. Now the middle door is actually the hotel. So you have your door for the hotel, your swimming pool, the gym, all of the different amenities are accessed through this second door. And as we pan over just a little bit more, and the restaurant looks packed tonight, this is Jean George's. It's one of the, I would say, one of the most sought after restaurants in the city. It's always packed. It's very expensive. It's a Michelin star hotel. I should say Michelin star restaurant, excuse me. And it's right in the hotel. All right, let's continue on. Now, speaking of 5-star hotels in New York City, we have another one to the right, and it lies in the Deutsche Bank Towers, which is the former Time Warner Center, right here. So the tower to the right, where you see the majority of the lights on, that is the Mandarin Oriental Hotel. If you've ever tuned into our Miami, Florida live streams, whenever we go to Brickell Key, which is not often, but we go there sometimes, there's also a Mandarin Oriental Hotel there, which is beautiful. You have amazing views of all of downtown Miami and Brickell. You could see the brand new Aston Martin building. You can see the 200 Southeast Financial Center, and pretty soon you're going to be able to see Ken Griffin's brand new office tower. I'm not too sure what the address is, but that is a very, very much anticipated building that's going to be going up in downtown Miami. For those of you who don't know, Citadel Securities, which is a major quantitative hedge fund and market maker on Wall Street, made the decision a little bit as the pandemic was winding down to move their headquarters, to move their operations away from Chicago, Illinois, and move it to South Florida, most notably Miami and Palm Beach. Hey, Patriots NFL 1 says, hey, do you use a filter on the iPhone lens? We do not. We do not use any type of filter. Jay Grant says, hey, everybody, happy to be here. What is going on? Roy says, hey, Tom, love your content. I appreciate your street views and financial commentary. I moved away from New York City back in 2004. Really good to keep up with those streets with no garbage smell. Yeah, yeah, that's a perk. But you know what? If you haven't been to the city since 2004, let me tell you, if you come back at least for a visit, I think you're going to be quite pleased with what you find. I'll make that prediction. Particularly if you venture over to 34th Street. You know, speaking of garbage, I'm literally sifting through it with my feet right now. It's disgusting. But if you venture over to 34th Street, particularly the Hudson Yards, you are going to be totally blown away and shocked because everything is completely different and is completely changed. In 2004, you probably remember, you know, I was just a kid back then, but all the way on the west side, by the West Side Yard, where all of the Long Island Railroad cars would go to be serviced, there was a drive-through McDonald's, and the vast majority of the buildings were auto body shops, like mechanic repair shops. Now, they are mega tall, Class A office towers, very similar to the ones that we're actually looking at right now at the Deutsche Bank Center. Speaking of new development, you see this building right here? This actually just completed. Now, when I was going to college, right around the corner here at John Jay College of Criminal Justice, which if you get off the subway entrance right here, 59th Street, Columbus Circle, if you just walk as far as you can, right? Once you hit the Hudson River, that's going to be John Jay College. This building never used to be here. This was a very raggedy, sort of like crickety old building. And in the basement was a Starbucks coffee. And I remember I would go there and do homework sometimes. It was right next to the NYIT, which is the New York Institute of Technology. Now, they built luxury condominiums. However, I'm not sure if these are going to be sales. The market environment, which we're going to talk about tonight in the live stream, it's very, very difficult, right? The real estate market right now for sales, it's tough. Not only in New York, but pretty much everywhere, right? Because the cost of capital, the cost of money has gone up almost 300%. At the beginning of the live stream, we talked about how the 30-year fixed rate mortgage is now 7.68%. That means many market participants that are requesting a bank or a loan from the bank to buy a house are probably getting offered 8% interest rates. So that's been putting a big stranglehold on the market, and sales are way, way down. One of the things that developers will do when the market environment is not the best for sales, they'll make the decision and temporarily choose to rent those units out. Obviously, a lot of real estate salespeople don't like that particular decision, right? Because you make more money on the sales. However, sometimes condominiums that go up that at first planning were going to be for sales, right? New sales. Sometimes the developers choose to make the decision based upon market conditions to choose to rent them. So we'll see. I don't know. I walked past that the other day and I was trying to look it up on StreetEasy, and I think the developer made the decision just to do rentals. Interesting. Anyway, okay, so now we are West 58th Street and Broadway. This is sort of the main drag here leading up to 59th Street, Columbus Circle. And I love walking down Broadway here. You have a lot of nice shops, you have restaurants, you have, I believe this is a, what do you call it, a vegan ice cream place. And you also have Magnolia Bakery. Everything is open really late. So you have tourists, you have residents of the neighborhood, and even office workers dining outside till very, very late at night, which is pretty cool. Hey, Big Talks, is Tom best burger in New York City? I'm actually not too sure about that. I don't know. I can tell you where the best burger I've ever had was. It's in Miami, Florida, on the corner of 76th Street and Collins Avenue, I believe. It's right in Little Buenos Aires. I forget the name of the place. I'm not a huge burger guy, but that is by far the best burger place I've ever had in my entire life, right there in Miami, Florida. Hey, Vincent's here, says good evening, Tom, what's up? Diego says I'm homesick. Come back to New York, we'd love to have you. Hey, Colton says, does New York have FHA loans? Yeah, I mean, everywhere has FHA loans if you could qualify for them. But still, I mean, money's expensive now, which, you know, it's a blessing and a curse, because if you're a saver in this environment, right? Let's say if you own US Treasuries, your money's in a money market account, well, you're actually going to be getting a pretty decent yield. And finally, and this is probably the most important thing, you are going to be getting a positive real rate of return, right? So in the investment business, you could think about nominal rate of return and real rate of return. The most important, obviously, is your real rate of return, because that's factoring in inflation. CPI is what? 3.5%, maybe a little less. So if you can buy a 1-year treasury that yields 5.5%, you're not only keeping up with inflation, you're actually beating it with taking zero risk. I understand that technically you can't say zero risk. The reason why we say no risk is because the US government has never defaulted on its debt, and I don't believe we ever will. Now, every time when it comes time to raise the debt ceiling or the debt limit, we always have this, you know, debate where, oh my gosh, the US government's going to default, but then everything always works itself out. Wow, look at this. Hope everything's all right. The FDNY is going up the wrong way. Hey, Pam B says, hello, Tom and chat. Sorry, got caught up. Oh, it's football season again, right? I'm not a big football guy, but I'll definitely always watch the Super Bowl. Let's just say that. Wow. Think about that. It's already football season again. Wild. So what is it? What's it called? Preseason now? Something like that? Crazy. Feels like the summer just completely flew by. Although it still feels like summer in New York. It is some record temperatures. I believe this summer, I was reading a New York Times article, for the Northeast, you could think about cities like New York, Boston, you know, even extending all the way up to Buffalo. This was one of the hottest summers on record in terms of temperatures. And as we are watching some of these hurricanes that are forming off the coast of Florida, I believe one of them, I think it's Hurricane Lee, I believe. Don't quote me on that, but I'm almost positive it's called Hurricane Lee. It's already a Category 5 storm. So we're hoping and praying, please God, that it's way to mainland Florida. But one of the reasons why these storms are getting so intense is because the waters are so warm. And I was in Miami, what, like 3 weeks ago now? Wow, it's almost been a month. The water felt like bath water, which is amazing, right, for a beach day to go swimming. But it's not the best when you're thinking about hurricanes. So if you live in the state of Florida, particularly South Florida, You know, all of the meteorologists are saying this could be a particularly very, very rough hurricane season. So, hey, no Mikey. He says, hey, how's it going? Walks to Wall Street. It's going good here. We're standing on the corner of 8th Avenue. I wanted to come a little bit further west for you guys, just so you could see a different angle of Billionaires Row. Now, I want you to keep your eyes fixated on this huge building sticking up there. That's 432 Park Avenue. Now, obviously by its name, 432 Park sits on Park Avenue, and it's still visible all the way from 8th. So we'll go over one more. This is actually surprisingly one of the worst, that was disgusting, but this is actually surprisingly one of the worst train stations here, right on Billionaires Row. I won't take you down the stairs because it's just so gross. But yeah, the city needs to do something about the 59th Street Columbus Circle subway entrance right on 8th Avenue, because this is the most, how do I describe it? Probably the most grotesque entrance to any subway I've ever been in all of the boroughs. That includes Brooklyn, Bronx, Queens, Manhattan. For whatever reason, that, as you walk down the stairs, it's so bad there. And it's right on Billionaires Row. The city should clean that up. So, just a little bit of a forewarning if anybody's thinking about moving to this neighborhood or taking a vacation, just avoid that entrance. The 59th Street Columbus Circle subway station is fine. It's great, there's no problems. It's just that particular entrance, which is a total horror show. All right, so we'll cross over one more time again, and then we're gonna make a left, because I wanna show you the brand new entrance of the Deutsche Bank Towers now that they've taken down the scaffolding. We haven't been over here in a long time, so. Pam B says billionaires probably don't take the subway. I don't know, I mean, still, I don't think the city should just cater to, you know, billionaires. I mean, everybody takes the subway. The biggest thing you'll see down there in that particular stairwell, a lot of needles, a lot of drugs, and, well, use your imagination. It's a kid's show. All right, here we are. This is actually the private residences inside the Deutsche Bank Towers. The exact address is 25 Columbus Circle, and the views from these apartments are really unmatched. But now that the scaffolding is down, you can see the brand new entrance, which is, oh, well, I'll rephrase that. Most of the scaffolding is down. Now the scaffolding is up on the inside as opposed to the outside. But here it is. This is the brand new entrance to the Deutsche Bank at 1 Columbus Circle. They made this really nice glass facade here. It looks pretty good. Looks like they're still doing a little bit of work, but the lobby looks very clean, very new, modern. It looks nice. Hey, Carrie's here. What's up? Good to see you. Patricia Ivory. Welcome. Bob Smith says, good tip on the 59th Street station with so much wealth in that area. It's weird that there's poverty right next to it. It is. Now, keep in mind, sort of the last thing I'll say about that, but check out these views of Billionaires Row. That's Central Park Tower, 220 Central Park South. The 59th Street subway station is very big. I think it stretches almost 5 blocks. The vast majority of it is totally fine. It's clean, it's great. It's just that corner that's a big problem, and I don't really know why. It's just a big problemed corner. This entrance is fine. I never really have any problems here. let's make a left. You'll be able to see the front entrance to the Whole Foods, which is actually in the basement. And as we pan over, you could see arguably one of the best views of Billionaires Row. And you don't even need to be high up. Street level does it. Hey, TK Porsche, as it is in poverty, it's anarchy. Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I think it's a combination of things, right? It's a combination of a lot of things. You know, the 79FH just made a comment in the chat that I actually made to one of my friends today. As we know, and we've been covering this topic because it's very important to the city of New York, and it's very important to New Yorkers who own property here, because we are running a very, very big deficit. It's projected that by 2027, we are going to have about almost $12 billion worth of deficit in our budget, mainly due to this migrant crisis. And Mayor Eric Adams spoke about this the other day. We now have over 100,000 migrants in the city of New York. And we just don't have the capacity to hold all of these people. And one of the major problems, as we're looking at a beautiful view of Billionaires Row, is all of the surrounding counties. For example, Nassau County, Suffolk County, even in upstate New York, areas of Westchester, they're refusing to sort of help out New York City, which includes the 5 boroughs, Brooklyn, Queens, Bronx, Staten Island. They're refusing to help out and essentially take any of these migrants. So the city of New York is stuck with all of them. So we're at about 110,000 now. I believe the mayor had a talk last night about it. That was his update. And it's projected we may get up to 50,000 more because they just keep pouring over the border. And obviously we are a sanctuary city. So I was texting my friend and I said, look, it's nice weather in New York right now. It's beautiful blue skies. I mean, it's just picture perfect weather this summer. But I am so concerned, just in a humanitarian way, I'm so concerned for this winter. And I'll tell you why. I take the subway every day in this city. And I have never seen so many people with their young children. And I'm not talking about like 5-year-old kids. I'm talking about like infant babies, strapped to their mom's back, selling, fruits and candies in the subway all day, around the clock. It's like, it's overwhelming how many there are. That's fine, I guess, in the summer. But what happens in New York when you have these frigid, cold days where it's 10 degrees out? Remember, guys, does anybody remember this last Christmas in New York City? It was one of the coldest on record. We were out streaming in it. It was negative temperatures. I think it was like 0 degrees. With the wind chill, it may have been like -2 degrees. It was crazy. So many of these migrants are housed in the Roosevelt Hotel, but there's over 100,000. So we just don't have the room, we don't have the space to house these people. I have a really big fear that we may have a record amount of people sleeping on the streets in the brutal New York City winter. And I don't think that's acceptable. And I think everybody would agree. I don't think that's acceptable. I think that's just crazy. So I think the federal government needs to step in and do something about it. That's my concern. Also, from a fiscal standpoint, it's putting unbelievable stress and strain on the city. The comptroller even just put out a little bit of a statement. So it's crazy. Yeah, Ryan Beck says it's not just Texas burden to carry. I think this has turned into like a political game, right? Where some of the democratic cities that have been pushing this, sanctuary city thing, it's become like a little bit of a virtue signal. Because yeah, it's great to, say, hey, it's a sanctuary city, we could take you in, but you need to be realistic. We can't house 100,000 people. And even the mayor is saying this. So when you send that message out to the world, it's almost disingenuous and dangerous message, I think. And I'm not trying to get political here. It's an important topic to talk about because it's going to affect all of us, particularly, property owners and business owners in the city. And I would say probably most importantly, the migrants, right? I mean, we want to be humane about this. But if we send the message that sanctuary city, just come whenever, that's a disingenuous message because it's not true. We just don't have the space, we don't have the capacity, and we don't have the federal funding to house all of these people. So it's essentially, we're just lying to these people. That's essentially what we've done as a country, as a nation, and as a city, is just lied to these people and said, hey, you could escape where you're from and just come here and we'll house you, but we just don't have the housing. So I think it needs to be more honest on both sides of the political aisle, in my view, because it's getting out of hand. And if we get another 100,000 more, this winter is brutal. The winters are brutal in New York, and I think it would be unacceptable and almost dystopian in nature to have women and children sleeping out in the streets when it's 20 degrees out. Anyway, that's sort of my take. Ooh, look at that. It was almost a fender bender. I've seen so many accidents at this circle because when the cars come here, half of them, I'll sort of show you what I'm talking about. Half the vehicles that are coming around the turn here, some of them want to go to Central Park South and some of them want to go downtown. So they're all crisscrossing in between each other. And I've seen so many accidents here. I think there needs to be better sort of like urban planning for that. We just almost saw an accident right here live. All right, so we are now on Central Park South. I want to take you guys to the New York Athletic Club. So we'll go ahead and do that. And as we're walking down Central Park South, it's going to take us all the way to the end by the Sherry Netherland. Now, we've spoken about the Sherry Netherland a lot on the live stream, mainly because we have a financial focus here. And one of the best investment books, in my opinion, ever written is called Reminiscences of a Stock Operator. And it's based upon the life of Jesse Livermore, who was arguably one of the most iconic stock traders of all time. Now, when he would go down to Wall Street and trade in the bucket shops, which is what they called them back in the day, after the trading day when the market would close, he would come all the way back up to technically the Upper East Side, right? 59th Street, 5th Avenue. And he would always go and drink at the bar at the Sherry Netherland, which is still in operation to this day. It's a combination of a hotel and a residence. We're going to see it tonight, but here's the unfortunate part. It is covered in scaffolding, as with anything else in this city. You see here, all the scaffolding is here. But the Sherry Netherland is such an iconic building. It has such rich history, and not a lot of people know that story. I will point this out. This is 220 Central Park South. This is one of the most exclusive addresses in the entire city. Now, this building is home to some very, very notable names, one of which being Ken Griffin of Citadel Securities. I believe he bought 3 particular floors in the building. It's stunning, just unbelievable views. And what's interesting, well, not interesting, I'd say what's different. I'd use that descriptive term. I'd say what's different about 220 Central Park South is that although it is one of these Billionaires Row style buildings in New York, it stands out. It's very different. Because if you just go to Google Images and you type in New York City's Billionaires Row, you're going to see 157, you're going to see Central Park Tower, you're going to see Steinway, and they all kind of, I wouldn't say they look the same, they look similar. Here's a perfect example. The building that you're looking at right now is 157. It is essentially just a big glass tower, but 220 Central Park South kind of kept a little bit of an Art Deco feel. The facade is this limestone and brick. It's really beautiful. I'm so glad that Vornado decided to do that because it differentiates itself from all of the other buildings on Billionaires Row. It just has a different feel. It has a very Central Park South feel, so to speak. Hey, War Walker, what's up, man? I was about to say the same thing. That guy was, he was jogging, but he was going slower than a walking pace, if that makes sense. So his body was clanging and banging and cruising, right? But he was moving at a snail's pace. Hey, I'm not hating on it. If you're out pounding the pavement, getting in some exercise, I love that. This is Alwyn Court. Speaking of amazing architecture in the city, on the corner of West 58th Street and 7th Avenue, you will see one of the most photographed buildings in Midtown Manhattan. It's called Alwyn Court. Now, when it's dark, it really doesn't do it justice because you can't see all of the detail of the architecture. Oh, look at this dog. I think that's a golden doodle. Such an adorable dog there. Yeah, Ryan Beck, I agree. Ryan Beck says, I can't blame anyone for getting out and soaking in the city. So jealous. Ryan, we got to get you back to New York, my friend. You were here for your birthday, which was great. Hopefully you can make one more trip in the fall to see Central Park. Look at the contrast there. That's incredible. So you have the old New York with the Alwyn Court style architecture. Then to the left, you have Steinway Tower, which is the skinniest residential apartment building in the entire world. And right above Alwyn Court, you have 157, which is the first building that was ever built on Billionaires Row. And then you have such an iconic building here. And it looks like they have a party, or they're having a party or an event. This is the New York Athletic Club that sits right on Central Park South. Very cool. Hey, Bren says, hey Tom, have you ever been to the rooftop bar at 230 Fifth Avenue? We're thinking of going there in mid-December to see the view. You know what? I haven't been there personally, but I know what you're talking about. There's always a crazy long line. And I'm trying to think, it's just north of the Flatiron District. Let's get away from this homeless guy. But it's just north of the Flatiron District. And it does have pretty amazing views of the Empire State Building. But no, I've never been in person. Let me know how you like it when you go. And let us know if it's worth it. Pete144 has been there. You know, I'll give you a recommendation. I've recommended this a bunch of times, so you've probably already heard about it. It doesn't have any views, okay? So this particular bar does not have any, picturesque, iconic New York City views, but the interior is unmatched, in my view. I don't think you're probably not going to be able to find a better interior anywhere in the city in terms of a bar. It's called the Campbell Bar, or the Campbell Apartments, inside Grand Central Terminal, inside Grand Central Station. That would be my recommendation. Now, it's a little pricey, but everything in New York is kind of pricey. I'm sure 530 Fifth Avenue is also pricey. So check that one out. I think you'll enjoy it. If you're in the vicinity of One Vanderbilt, if you're near Bryant Park, if you're near Grand Central Station, I think it's worth it to pop in there. I think you'd like it. This is the JW Marriott Essex House, which is another gorgeous 5-star hotel right on Manhattan's Central Park South. However, you can also purchase units in the building. Now, again, not to sound like a broken record, the unfortunate thing is, you guessed it, there's scaffolding all encompassing the building. And this just went up probably about a month ago. The scaffolding went up. I think the entire facade is going through restoration. And I also believe they're revamping their hotel bar. So it's going to be a brand new bar and grill. The old one was called Southgate. You can kind of see the interior of the buildings being essentially ripped and replaced. They're probably going to expand the ceiling heights. I'm excited about that renovation for sure. And right across the street is Central Park. You can see all the horse and buggies going by. Hey, Michael Joseph says, I love the view of the park. That hotel is great. It has valet parking and it's very low key at night. It's beautiful. Now here's the thing about the JW Marriott Essex House. It's a little bit of a different 5-star hotel feel, and I'll sort of explain what I mean. Well, actually, let me do this. We talked about the Trump International Hotel and Tower. That's a 5-star hotel. We talked about the Mandarin Oriental, which is a 5-star hotel inside the Deutsche Bank Towers. And in 157, which we'll probably walk past in a minute, there is the Park Hyatt, which is, you guessed it, another 5-star hotel. Now, there's every single amenity under the sun in all of those different buildings except the JW Marriott Essex House. That's the only one that's not going to have a pool and all of the other amenities that you would expect in a 5-star hotel. But what draws a lot of people to the particular building is just the iconic Art Deco essence and the architecture and the craftsmanship of the inside of the hotel. It's really stunning. And if you've never stayed there, I would recommend it. It's pricey, don't get me wrong. Obviously, you're going to be staying right on Central Park South, so if you look up, what the starting room rate is at the Essex House, it's probably going to be right around $650 maybe per night. But look, if you're coming for a weekend trip, I think it's worth it to do it, just at least once. So Pete 144 says the Carlisle is also a 5-star hotel. You did security there. Love that. Patriots NFL 1 says Park Hyatt view on Central Park is jaw-dropping. It is, particularly if you go to the gym. So if you stay at the Park Hyatt New York, you have got to go and use the gym. Very seldom do people actually use the hotel gyms. You've got to use this one because as you're working out, as you're hitting the weights or you're on the treadmill, you have a unreal view of Central Park. It's insane. I think I've posted some photos of that view before because I previewed the building a couple times. We've had some clients that were interested in purchasing at 157. All right, let me tell you a little bit about this building. This is Trump Park that sits at 106 Central Park South. This is a beautiful condominium. It's an Art Deco style building as well. It's a little bit older, but it has great views of Central Park, obviously, because you're right here. Studios right now, I believe, start at $3,000 a month for rent in this building. And I believe one of the penthouses is on sale for like $17,500. In addition, speaking of 5-star hotels in Manhattan, we are now walking past the Ritz-Carlton Central Park. It also has residences. The address for the residences is 50 Central Park South. One of my colleagues, or fellow broker at Douglas Elliman, Noble Black, has just an unbelievable, breathtaking listing right here. I'll show you the front doors. So this 50 Central Park South, this is the residences, and this is the hotel. So 50 Central Park South, there is a new listing. I believe it's on the market for $16.5. Noble Black has the listing, and the former owner, well, still the current owner, right? He's selling it. He's using it or utilizing it as a pied-à-terre, meaning he's only there maybe 2 or 3 months out of the entire year. And the place is just stunning. It kind of opens your mind as to some of the wealth people have in this world, where they could afford a 4-bedroom apartment at the Ritz-Carlton, and it's not even their primary residence. It's pied-à-terre. It's wild. It kind of looks like we're doing a little impromptu tour of Central Park South tonight, which is kind of cool. Hey, Kerry says, how many hotels does Trump own? I'm not too sure. One in New York, another one in DC. I don't know. I actually don't know. Cooking says, would you like to be filthy rich? I guess someday, for sure. Hey, Michael Joseph says, Billy Joel used to own an apartment in that building too. Did he really? Wow. Now, I've heard that Billy Joel has either listed or sold one of his homes in the North Shore, Long Island, which is really beautiful there. For all of those who are not familiar with the North Shore of Long Island, very nice. Right on the Long Island Sound. Beautiful. Here we have the Sherry Netherland, my friends. Iconic classic building in New York. Unfortunately, the top is encased in scaffolding, pretty much like everything else in the city. But as we've explained before, one of the reasons why I love the Sherry Netherland so much is because of that history with Jesse Livermore. So check that book out. It's called Reminiscences of a Stock Operator. If you've heard of Paul Tudor Jones, which I'm sure you all have, Paul Tudor Jones is arguably one of the most successful, I would say, trend traders in history. He was one of the only individuals who have predicted, or who at the time predicted the 1987 stock market crash. Now, rumor has it, if you want to work for Tudor Investments, which is his firm slash family office slash fund, one of the required readings is Reminiscences of a Stock Operator if you want to secure a job at Tudor Investments. This is 24 Central Park South Art Gallery. Let's check out some of the pieces that they have. This looks like a Pablo Picasso. Some of the stuff is nice, but I don't know, it's just not really my style. What do you guys think? In my view, and I want to know what all of you think in the chat here, I think some of this stuff is a little bit too gaudy. Agree? Disagree? I don't know. I feel like if I had an apartment, I had all this stuff in it, it's like too much. Like you're doing a little bit too much. But I don't know. Then again, I'm not a multi-millionaire. I know, Western Mass Stage is like a little bit too frilly. I don't know, some people like it. I'm not hating on it. I'm not, don't take it the wrong way. I just don't think it's my style. It's a little bit too much. It's almost intimidating in a way. Hey, Dan Zhang says, I have zero taste when it comes to art pieces. Now, I love art. I actually have 2 very nice pieces, but they're Wall Street themed. I think have I showed you before? I don't know. It's unfortunate because those 2 pieces are actually still in storage. I had them up at my place when I lived right here at Central Park South, when I had that sweet deal from COVID, and they've never come out of storage, and I've never put them up in my Miami place. But I'm gonna send you guys some photos. There's actually really 2 beautiful pieces. One of them is a painting of Federal Hall. So imagine standing at Federal Hall looking north at the New York Stock Exchange. That is sort of what the painting is. It's really nice. We are now at the Plaza Hotel and Residences. So on the Central Park South side, it houses the residences. So if you want to buy an apartment, if you want to rent an apartment at the Plaza, your main entrance would be at the Central Park South facing, I guess you could call them turn doors, or revolving doors, if you will. I love all of the detail around the entire building, particularly on these lamps here. You can see the Plaza Hotel insignia all over. Look at the attention to detail on it. It's really incredible. You see all of those moldings above the doors with the Plaza Hotel logos on them. And I love this red carpet too. Now again, not to sound like a broken record, but as with pretty much everything in New York City, there is scaffolding encapsulating the entire facade of the plaza, unfortunately. So hopefully pretty soon they'll be able to take the scaffolding down, because this is one of my favorite buildings in the entire city. Hey. Now notice when we're walking past the plaza, the scaffolding is a little bit nicer looking, if you've noticed that. Everything is painted white. You have these sort of fake bushes just to kind of make it look a little bit less like of an eyesore, I guess. Which I totally understand, because speaking of five-star hotels, this is probably one of the most iconic five-star hotel in New York City, depending on who you ask. Let me walk a little bit further away, just so you could see the entire facade. See what I'm talking about? So this scaffolding that is encasing the facade of the plaza is sort of custom tailored to the building. You have the Plaza Hotel insignia, the logos throughout. So it doesn't look all that bad, actually. Actually kind of looks pretty good. Hey, Joseph Hardaway, what's up? Good to see you. AUS Fly Girl is here. Thanks for joining us. Western Mass Dave says, yes, good observation. Yeah, I mean, I love the Plaza Hotel. I've never stayed here, actually, but does anybody remember, this was last holiday season. So, wow, I can't believe how fast the year went. We did a walking tour inside the plaza right around the holidays, and the lobby is just unbelievably breathtaking. It's gorgeous. Hopefully this Christmas/Hanukkah we'll be able to do a walking tour of the lobby again. They were quite gracious to allow us to film in there. A lot of hotels don't allow filming, so that's good. Yeah, Ryan Beck, I remember that. FredEx is just like, be assertive, just walk right in. Wow, the fountain looks great tonight. I think that guy's inside the fountain. He's bathing in it. All right, we won't film that. Besides that, the fountain looks great tonight. That's the money shot of the plaza right there. But if you guys are enjoying the live stream so far tonight, feel free to leave a like on the video and click the subscribe button if you're new. We do these walking tours almost every single day starting at 8:30 p.m. and we would love to have you join us. It's getting a little bit windy. I'm not sure if you could hear it in the microphone, but the wind is picking up a little bit. So here it is. This is the Sherry Netherland for all of those who are not familiar. You could see the top, I'd say maybe about, give or take, the top 10 floors of the building. They're doing a total facade restoration. It's actually gonna look really good. Maybe we could cross the street and take a little bit of a peek in the lobby. We'll see what they say. Obviously, if they don't give us permission, we'll leave. But if they allow us to film in the lobby, I want to show you the ceiling, because the ceiling is unbelievable. It kind of reminds me of being in the New York Public Library, particularly the Stephen Schwarzman building, if anybody's ever been in there. I mean, just the architecture is amazing, the craftsmanship is amazing, and they really don't do it like they used to anymore, so. Wow, that wind is really picking up. All right, let's cross. We'll at least get you guys a clear shot of the Sherry Netherland clock. You'll be able to see it here in just a minute. Check it out. So this is the famous clock outside the Sherry Netherland. Hey Tiff, what's up, man? Good to see you. It says, love the Home Alone building. Yeah, you're from Red Hook. Dude, that was so cool meeting you. Hopefully you like the building. I sent you that follow-up email. We'll touch base a little bit later. But hopefully everything's going well with you, man. Here's the Sherry Netherland logo. And then you can see the beautiful front doors. But look at that. They actually sort of built this front door in front of the original door right here. Look at the ceiling. All of that custom architecture. It's beautiful. So many traders on Wall Street, many of which I know will actually stay here just because of the history with Jesse Livermore. But I believe the cloakroom is not in operation, or it's not here anymore. For those of you who don't know, rumor has it is that on Thanksgiving, then Jesse Livermore, one of the best stock market operators of all time, took his life in the cloakroom of the Sherry Netherland. But there are some rumors that there was potentially some nefarious activity going on. It may not have been him. That's sort of the mystery there. But a lot of notable equity traders will stay here just to say they stayed at the same place as Jesse Livermore. It's kind of cool. Now that they opened up the doors, you could see it a little bit better. So what did you guys think? I don't want to barge right in there. I think what I'll do, I want to send the management company or just the hotel an email, and I want to do like a little walking tour of the inside of the hotel, just because it's beautiful. Not a lot of people get to see it because the hotel is so expensive to stay at. But you could also purchase units, like a condo there. And what will happen is, should you purchase a unit, you can only stay there, I think, a maximum of 65 days out of the year. I don't know the exact time frame. And the rest of the time, your apartment will be put in the hotel pool. I don't know the exact time frame again, but I'll find out. I'll get you guys that information. Hey, Fun Feeds is here. What's up? This is New York City is best as a tourist attraction than being a resident. I don't know. I love living in New York, especially when you're young. I would highly recommend it, particularly to a very young working professional. I definitely recommend it for sure. There's just a lot of opportunity, right? Especially if you're in your 20s, you're just graduating college, you got your first job in New York, even though it's expensive, right? Many people would say, you know, you must be crazy to move to New York City right out of college because you're just going to spend all of your money on rent. I think you really need to think bigger than that. You don't necessarily need to, you know, scrape and save every nickel and dime very early on. You should try to save as much money as possible. But what's more important than that is the connections and the network that you build. And the smartest, the most talented people, not only from the United States, but from around the entire world, come to New York City to work, to start companies, to work at startups, to invest money. And if you build that network, you're going to get around the right people to do some crazy deals. And that's how you really level up. So, you know, I'd be open to it. You know, even if you're not a city kid, you're not a city girl, I would be open to it. You know, have an open mind, because there's a lot of opportunity in this city. I could tell you that from experience. So be open to it. Hey, Elliott Wave Review. This is Tom. Why did you leave enterprise tech sales? Isn't that more lucrative than real estate? Out of curiosity. Yeah, I think it's a really good question. Now, yes, it was a very lucrative career, and I had a very successful career there, which allowed me to essentially acquire a lot of capital to go launch a new venture. So, as we've been talking about on the live stream for like 2 years now, I believe we are at a pivotal point in a business cycle. Particularly as it relates to commercial real estate, right? So commercial real estate is a very broad term. You could have commercial office, you could have commercial retail, you could have commercial multifamily and the like. And we're entering an environment where rates are historically, right, if you compare to the last decade, rates are normalizing. But they're much higher than they were, over the past decade. We just covered tonight in the live stream that the average 30-year fixed rate mortgage right now is 7.68%. That's on the residential side, but think about the commercial side, construction loans, commercial paper. The vast majority of commercial paper debt has not rolled over yet. So this is technically a lot of bad debt that has not been rolled over or refinanced at these higher rates. So what I'm expecting and what I'm betting big on is there's going to be significant opportunities to acquire distressed assets, particularly office and retail in Manhattan, that is sitting on very bad debt. So just as an example, I'm not gonna give a specific deal I'm working on, but let me give you a summary. So there's a building not too far away from where we're standing that has about $85 million of bad debt on it. It's going into foreclosure right now. It's in a prime location, unreal location, and there's an opportunity for us to pick up that building in an all-cash deal for $35 million. Now, I mean, it would be, now the building's going to need work and it's going to be a ton of due diligence, right? If you're working on a deal of that size and you're going to commit that much capital, the due diligence phase is going to take a lot of money as well. But if you can go to the city, and this is just a broad example, super broad example. If you can go to the city and say, okay, this particular building that we're working on is 2 floors of retail and 6 floors of office. It's going into foreclosure. What we'd like to do is purchase the building, and we want to get approvals to build 4 additional condominium units on the roof, right? Or 6 additional condominium units, or something like that. If you put $25 million worth of work into the building to get it rent ready, let's say, for example, you can rent the retail at like $400 a square foot or $500 a square foot, and the 6 office spaces you could rent for about maybe $80 a square foot. And the icing on the cake, if you can get an approval to build, let's say, 4 condo units, I mean, that's going to be a very, very big profitable deal. Now, is it going to be very risky? Yeah. And is it going to take years? Yes. But there's going to be those type of deals popping up everywhere, not only in New York City, but around the country. Now, a lot of other, I'll say, what would I say? A lot of other media publications like the Wall Street Journal or Bloomberg are sort of spinning this as like an Armageddon. It's going to be the worst thing ever. It's going to be, the next 2008. I really don't see it that way. I actually think it's going to make cities better. It's going to make cities like San Francisco so much better. It's going to make cities like New York so much better. Because as of right now, the current owners of a lot of these buildings that are not going to be able to refinance this debt and keep the building in operation, they don't have the means to get these buildings refurbished and rent ready or do the condo conversions. So at the turn of a business cycle, it creates opportunity for new money, for new investment, to provide better product and service for the community. The main topic, if you've ever read any article about New York City, one of the biggest concerns right now is affordable housing, the lack of inventory in the city. This crisis that you're seeing with potential major foreclosures on office buildings could actually be the saving grace to solve the shortage of inventory. Now, it may take 10 years to fix, but I actually think it'll be fixed. So that was a really long diatribe, but I guess that's sort of, when you see an opportunity, right, I think you need to take a calculated risk, but absolutely throw everything down on that risk, right? So I've joined the Kirsten Jordan team at Douglas Elliman, and I'm also working with her husband's private equity firm that does those type of deals. So that is sort of what we're doing here. I totally passed the atrium that I wanted to show you guys. We actually have to wrap around the corner. I wanted to show you this atrium because actually we can get access in there all the way up until 11 o'clock at night. And I want to show you this interesting, it's not really like an underground walkway, but there's access to the IBM building. So we'll do that now. We just have to make another left and go back uptown. Only 2 blocks. This is the Jeffries building, by the way. Interesting design. Not a lot of people like it. What do you think? It kind of gets more narrow as you go up to the top. I know, it is New York City Fashion Week. You're right. Maybe we should go down to like Chelsea Piers tomorrow night, because that's where all of the fashion runways are, a lot of them. Right at Chelsea Market, near Chelsea Piers. Maybe we'll do that tomorrow night. You're right. Hey, Bob Smith, I appreciate that. Thank you so much. All right, let's cross. And we just have to go 2 more blocks uptown. Oh, look at this. This actually looks like it was a conversion. You guys see this? So you have retail on the bottom, but look at that. It looks like they converted the top 3 floors to residential. I think that actually works. It looks a little awkward, but it kind of works, I think. They should probably do that with this. So you have like a bodega on the bottom, and then it looks like you have some vacant office. This would be good to convert into residential. Hey, Ukrainian Royal, thank you so much for your very generous and kind donation. Appreciate you very, very much. Carl Ross says exciting times, Fashion Week, all those companies showing their new clothing. A lot of the Fashion Week stuff in the city is a little bit too exotic for me. Especially the higher end you go, and I'm not a fashion guy at all. I pretty much know nothing about it. This is a very rare bookstore. Look at that. That's beautiful. Let's see what this place is called. I know I've taken you guys here before. Barman Rare Books. Wow. I think if I ever owned a brownstone on the Upper West Side, I'd probably allocate one room to look exactly like this. It gives off that Morgan Library feel, if anybody's ever been to the Morgan Library. Wow, these books must be extremely expensive because it says, please ring the bell for entry. So even when they're open, they keep the door locked. I wonder how much these like Star Wars books go for. Now, I have a pretty big rare book collection, but finance books, not anything like this. Speaking of reminiscences of a stock operator, I found one of the original copies at the East Village bookstore. If anybody here in the chat loves books, particularly classic and rare books, I'll give you a quick tip. And it's very affordable, and it's a kind of a cool experience to go to. Go to the East Village and check out a store called East Village Books. Now, the reason being is they purchase a lot of books in bulk from estate sales that happen all over the city. Most notably on the Upper East Side, and even some in upstate New York, like in Rye. And and I've seen it happen before. So you'll have the family come in with like crates, literally like crates of like timeless classic rare books. But you know, the younger generation doesn't really know much about it, and they just want to sell it and get rid of it. So if you're ever in the neighborhood, right around the East Village, and if you spend some time in the East Village bookstore, you may find some crazy deals. You know, you could buy a rare book for like $20 that's actually worth, you know, like $100. It's kind of cool, actually. Yeah, I think that's what it is. It's 12 St. Mark's Place. It's a little bit quirky in there, like the people who work there are a little bit quirky, but it's cool. It's a cool experience for sure. I recommend it. 2 thumbs up. I recommend it. Okay, here we are at 432 Park Avenue. This is one of the most notable buildings on New York City's Billionaires Row. Check it out. I want you all to notice the floors that are highlighted the most. So about every 10 floors, you'll see these very bright strips of white. You guys see that? Those are actually totally empty and vacant. And they had to engineer it like that to allow wind flow so the building doesn't topple over, which is kind of crazy. So those are open floors to allow air to seamlessly flow through the building so the building doesn't literally top over in very, very high winds. Now, there has been reports from residences who have purchased units in the building of some very severe problems, which I believe have been sorted out. There was a good article, it was either in the New York Times or the New York Post, I forget which one, it was either the Times or the Post, interviewing some of the residences of 432 Park and interviewing them about their experience with the building. And some of the stuff was kind of crazy, particularly on days where it's really windy in the city. You can't use the elevators. Well, at the time you couldn't use the elevators because the building would actually sway so much that the elevators went down because the building would bend that much. Kind of crazy stuff. Also, there was a lot of flooding in the building too. I believe a lot of that stuff is sorted out now, but you never know. Hey, Hawaii, what's up? This is Aloha Tom and friends. I'm listening but can't chat. Got slammed with work. Yeah, you were telling me about that today. I feel like everything is picking up now that Labor Day has come and gone. It feels like everybody's back in the city, everybody's back to work. And I think that's a good thing for productivity as we head into Q4 here. This building we're looking at is one of the newest Class A office towers in Manhattan. It is 425 Park Avenue. And if you walk directly down Park towards the MetLife building and the Hemsley building, you will run into 270 Park Avenue, which is JP Morgan Chase's brand new office tower as well. So Park Avenue is really transforming, and it's kind of cool to be able to see that real time live on the stream. I don't think we're going to have just enough time to go down to 270 Park tonight, but maybe we'll do that on the weekend just to sort of check up on it. I see Gary Carpenter, what's up? Username Schmoosernames is having the elevator banging against the wall and the shaft while moving would be definitely pretty disturbing. Yeah, I mean, also particularly pretty disturbing if you spend $25 million on the apartment, you can't use the elevator. This, one of our good moderators, DM, informed us about the brand new Aston Martin showroom. So conveniently located on New York City's Park Avenue, where the vast majority of financial activity happens in the city. You have all of the investment banks, the hedge funds, the family offices. As a lot of the hedge fund managers are walking down Park Avenue, they could do some window shopping for a new Aston Martin. This doesn't look like a new one. This looks like a classic car. Any car guys or girls in the chat? What are your thoughts? Thumbs up or thumbs down on these cars? I don't know nothing about vehicles, but it looks kind of nice. I would assume it's pretty expensive. Look at that one in the back. Whoa, what is that? Let's actually go around the block here. The one all the way in the back corner is catching my eye because it doesn't look new. It looks like a classic car. I love the design of the lights in the ceiling. Look at that. Just the James Bond vehicles. This building right here is still vacant since the pandemic, which is crazy to think about, but it is. I think the owner is in a battle with the city due to taxes. Look at that. That is cool. I have no idea what this is called. It's obviously an Aston Martin, but I don't know what the model is. I know, Ryan Beck's like glad to see they took your suggestion to keep the lights on. They should, because people, get off of work late. And this place looks really cool. I'm not a car guy, but it's definitely selling me. It looks cool. Mike Skate TV says DB5. What would you say is the value, you think? Looks nice. I think it was 2 weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago, they had one of the Formula One cars here. I think it's a cool showroom. About 4 blocks to the south of us is the Ferrari showroom. Let's see what else they have back here. Maybe they have some additional vehicles back here. We'll see. Whoa, just the guy says 3 million. Ryan Beck says 500K easy. I wonder what the cost would be to insure something like that. We had a conversation about auto insurance on the live stream a couple days ago. I could only imagine what the insurance cost would be for like a $3 million vehicle. This one's cool too. Wow, the average price is 1.4 per Google? Holy crap. Whew. It's crazy how expensive some things are. I do have to give the marketing department for Aston Martin like a 10 out of 10, because this is like perfectly placed. You literally have a prime location on Billionaires Row, right on 57th Street and Park Avenue. You could not get a better prime location than that. And you have Citadel Security's temporary headquarters adjacent. So as everybody's working, they're looking down to the street level and they see the Aston Martin showroom. That is perfect product placement. That is like getting an MBA in marketing just by walking down Park Avenue. Okay, let's make a right. We'll take one more look at 432 Park. Hey, Sabrina Fair's here. What's up? This is always a good angle here. So my new office is literally that building to the left. So from our conference room, we could see into some of the amenities at 432. Ah, Resident of the Abyss says, hey Tom, would you ever consider going on the Queensboro Bridge? So we have before. Here's the problem with that. The Queensboro Bridge is extremely loud, and I could barely even hear myself think going over it. It's a nice Tesla they got. This is the front entrance to 432 Park. I think that's a Tesla Model what? Is that a Y or an X? I think that's a Tesla Model X. It's nice. Ah, F says it's a Tesla Model Y. The X is the model that has the gull wing doors that open up kind of like a butterfly, I guess. F's chrome trim is on the X. Stephanie says, what street are you on now? We're on the corner of East 56th Street and Madison Avenue. We are right next to my office, which is right here. 575 Madison Avenue. So this is where I go in every day, right here. Our team is on the 6th floor, so we have pretty good views of 432 Park from the office. And I kind of like working up here. It's a lot of excitement, there's a lot of people, and there's a really good coffee shop right across the street. Since we have the light, we might as well take the chance and cross. Look at that view of 1 Vanderbilt all the way in the distance. This is the atrium that I wanted to show you, but I think we just missed it. So this will connect the IBM building, which is to the right. We just missed it. That's all right, we'll go here tomorrow. It closes at 10 p.m. No big deal. We'll go tomorrow. But it connects the IBM building to Trump Tower. I like this neighborhood. They keep it clean over here. I've noticed they've just put all these barricades up. I don't know if the former president's going to be in town anytime soon, but you notice all these? These were just put here the other day. This is all brand new here too. Check this out. It's sort of in like an outdoor space that's totally covered, so you can hang out here when it's raining. It's very tucked away and secluded from the elements. And one of my favorite coffee shops is right here. It's called Black Fox Coffee. Lots of nice landscaping, beautiful benches to sit, and this is all open to the public too, which is great. If we ever have clients over at the office, we actually spend most of the time hanging out here. You have this really nice waterfall. It's nice. I think they did a good job. I was just here today. Look at the facade on this building.
Hey man, it wasn't me, man.
This one is so unique. You can tell they kept the original architectural integrity intact, but it's totally gut renovated on the inside. Look at the moldings on the facade. You have that very bright white trim. You have almost like an orangey red brick. It's nice. Let's check it out. I'm actually curious about what's in there. It looks like, kind of looks like an art gallery maybe. Let me just watch out for the food delivery bicycle people. Oh yeah, it's a gallery. Anton Kern Gallery. Now, the shape of the windows here are very reminiscent of 130 William. It's nice. They made it very bright. Wow, look at that staircase. I love that. This looks like a marble staircase. I really want to go inside. It's beautiful. They did a good job. Hey, thank you so much for your very kind $10 donation. Lanicia, thank you Hopefully I pronounced your name right. I apologize if I didn't. But thank you for your very kind and generous donation. Yeah, Anton Kern Gallery. We'll take one more quick shot of the facade here. I love that architecture. Very much appreciate your $10 donation. Thank you for supporting the stream. Oh wow, guys, look at this. The King Cole Bar. This place looks nice. Look at the chandeliers hanging from the ceiling. Look at all those crown moldings. This place looks fancy. You can see guests dining on the inside, very nice. This is a good shot too. Look at the facade here, and the white lights make the facade of the building really pop at night. That's beautiful. Wow. Guys, check out that chandelier. Beautiful marble staircase with that brushed gold trim railing. That's amazing. The King Cole Bar. Let's check out the menu. Let's see what they have. All right, let me focus this. Let me know in the chat if you guys can see the prices. I'm trying to focus it as best I can. So this is the restaurant that's attached to the St. Regis. It's actually not too bad. For being the St. Regis, I was actually going to expect it to be a little bit more pricey than that. Here's another beautiful chandelier. Now this is the inside of the St. Regis Hotel. Look at the American flag hanging from there. Yeah, Ryan Beck's like everything is around like 35 bucks. One of the finest 5-star properties in the world. Oh, wow. I mean, for being a 5-star establishment, the price, I mean, they could probably be a little bit more aggressive on the price, so it's not too bad. I know $35 for a French toast seems high, but at a 5-star hotel in New York City, it's actually not too bad. So you have the St. Regis here, and then right across the street you have another 5-star hotel called the Peninsula, which also has amazing architecture. The facade is really stunning here. Look at that. I think the facade of the Peninsula really pops, particularly at night with those white lights. Let's cross to the north just so we can see a better view of it. East 55th Street and 5th Avenue. Hey, Sabrina Fair says, I love the peninsula. We've been in here before. I think we briefly stopped inside the lobby during the holidays. And then a little bit of a further away shot of the St. Regis. Now, if you're enjoying the live stream so far tonight, feel free to leave a like on the video and click the subscribe button if you're new. We usually do these streams every day starting at 8:30, and we'd love to have you join us. Mike sees, is that actual copper that is oxidized, or was it just made to look that way? I don't know. That's actually a really good question. If I had to guess, it's probably original copper that's oxidized, because these are very classic and timeless and old properties in New York. We'll wait for the light and we'll cross. Right next to the Peninsula Hotel is the University Club. The University Club is absolutely gorgeous. I know. You know, Ryan Beck makes a really good comment. That's one of the things I missed about working for a big corporation is the T&E card. I used to have company credit. Now, it's not like I would abuse the company credit card, but you know, if you're traveling, you stay at a nice hotel, you get yourself a nice dinner. East 54th Street. We're about to see St. Thomas Church. Now, the view of St. Thomas Church is now almost covered by the scaffolding. I feel like I say that every other block. I feel like I've been saying that almost all night. Now, this is covered by scaffolding. Now, this is covered with scaffolding. Look at the architectural detail at St. Thomas Church. It is a stunning property here in Midtown Manhattan that is located on East 53rd Street and 5th Avenue. It's a gorgeous building. Oh, but everybody, I gotta cut the stream short. I apologize, but if you enjoyed the live stream tonight, feel free to leave a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you're new, and we will see you all right back here tomorrow at 8:30. Thank you all for joining us. There's always a bull market somewhere. You just need to know where to look. So Wendy England, Battery Grams, all of our moderators, Ryan Beck, and all of our new viewers, thank you so much for joining us. I think we had a good conversation tonight. We talked about interest rates. 30-year fixed rate mortgage is bumping up on 8%. Everything in Miami, Western Mass, Dave, Joseph Hardaway, Colton Manning, Sabrina Fair. I'll see you guys soon. Tomorrow, regroup back in New York. Sounds good. Stay safe. See you tomorrow.